Ladies and gentlemen, we have achieved peak performance. This build is the biggest disrespect to every enemy in the game. So disrespectful that we made acolytes unalive themselves. We're not touching them at all. They're just doing this to themselves. Like, this is the kind of disrespect that you say something stupid, your mom will fly overseas just to come over to smack you in front of your friends. That kind of disrespect. And on top of that, you're just unkillable. And you can steal Xmas powers. What's good, folks? It's NightmareFrame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with the best shield tank in the game, Trinity. Now, when I say shield tank, what's the first thing that comes into your head? Some of you, I know, will say, oh yeah, it's easy. It's Hildryn. She's clearly, a tank with all the shields. So, let me ask you one question. Go ahead. What happens if you just remove pillage from Hildryn? Exactly. Hildryn is just a pillage bot. She can't do anything without pillage. Her third ability doesn't work. And pillage can't even be used when you have your fourth ability active. So yeah, it sounds like everything is tied around pillage, because that's the main way you regenerate your resources to use your other abilities. So what makes Trinity a better shield tank than Hildryn or any other Warframe? First of all, let me run down her kit just a little bit. For this particular build, I am replacing the first ability, but it has some niche uses. It's not the best, but you can do some funnies with that first ability. However, we're sticking with the last three abilities. The second ability targets an enemy, deals true damage to that target, meaning damage that ignores defenses, and it replenishes energy per tick. Killing that target will just send out that burst of energy to you and everyone else. You're able to one-shot level 9k enemies just with her second ability alone. Granted, you procced the viral status effect because that amplifies damage done to the health. The third ability allows you to redirect damage back to enemies, meaning it's a damage reduction ability. On top of that, it makes you status immune. Like, this status immune is so strong. You know that acolyte mania that comes up to you and just smacks you up into the air even if you have prime sure-footed? Well, this one completely negates that. Adding on to this ability, it has its augment, which allows you to strip enemy armor. The only downside is that it has a limited amount of tethers, and the duration isn't that superb either. However, it is a very strong tool. And to get the benefits of the third ability, you just have to be tethered to one target. Now, the last ability is a full heal blessing. You're able to heal everyone from your allies and their pets, along with NPCs. Not only does it heal, it replenishes your entire health pool and shields. Just for added safety, it also gives you 75% damage reduction. You pair the third ability and the fourth ability, and you're tanky as hell. You have an endless supply of energy, damage reduction, armor stripping, and status immunity. It's crazy how good she is. The difference between her kit and pillage alone, pillage has that line of sight requirement, and it's not instantaneous. It doesn't replenish your shields instantly. You have to mod it a certain way, and you do have to double tap. It won't replenish your shields if you're fighting against other types of factions or enemies that don't have armor. And it doesn't give you status immunity, it just cleanses you of status effects. Instead of preventing, you have to actively deal with it. This is what makes Trinity far superior as a shield tank than any other Warframe in the entire game. She can do that all on her own. She doesn't need Prime Sure-Footed, Arcane Aegis, Brief Respite, Arcane Energize. She just does all of these things that we need on other Warframes all by herself. And of course, she has great single target DPS. I did release a video about her back in the days that gives her AoE nuking DPS by combining her second ability with the Mark for Death Helminth. Should definitely go check that out. But this build right here is catered to everyone. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in Steel Path to demonstrate how this build works. The build is self-sustaining. We get our own energy, our own shields, our own health. We can even heal our allies, pets, give them a damage buff since I'm using Roar as my Helminth ability. And I don't have to worry about ammo because I'm running the Occucore. Replenishes its own ammo pool if it gets kills, since it's using the Augment Sentient Surge. On top of that Sentient Surge augment, once we build up enough stacks, we get 240% crit chance and status chance. Notice I have 555 shields. Watch how that starts growing. 600. Let's give it a little roar juice. I don't have a shield mod on my build, yet I am just growing overshields. All these overshields do get that damage reduction buff from Link, Blessing, and Adaptation. Unfortunately, it doesn't contribute to a larger shield gate, but that's not even a problem because we won't have to deal with that. All right, let's go steal an Eximus Power. We got that red marker right there. Oh, 2 red markers. Let's go steal some Eximus Powers. All right, let's have a tune. Good girl. Come here. Come here. What do you... See? Now we got Eximus Powers. She's going to apply that heat to everybody. Keep on buffing my Cascadia Flare, which is my base damage, on my secondary. And on top of that, she's also modded for heat on her weapon. So that's also going to spread out to enemies. Now we're just going to come here to this group of enemies, and we're going to watch them kill themselves. Sorry, unalive themselves. That guy just went bye-bye. This guy's going bye-bye. Look at that. I didn't touch him. Yeah, that just happened. Press 4 here and there. 2 to replenish some energy and also give myself overshields since I'm using the second ability Augment. And this build works as a support build for me and allies. Also my pets. Oh, they just died. Sometimes I don't even get to kill the enemies myself. They just die by killing themselves. Even though this build is really strong, it does have one weakness. Violence. And I get some people saying, this build sucks because of that one enemy that can disable abilities. This build is already bad, don't use it. So, just to save face, let's pray that violence doesn't spawn when we get our acolytes. Please, BE, come on. Oh, and one of the strongest abilities that your companion can get here is the Electric Eximus. It's just so good. The amount of damage that it can dish out and crowd control, oof, too damn much. Oh, here we go. We got an acolyte. Let's just hope it's not violence, Oh, it's not violence. Perfect. It's this guy. This guy is just gonna ratio himself. Hey, buddy. What's wrong? Why are you killing yourself? Let me just top up of some energy. Acolytes just kill themselves. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this build is so strong until you get violence. Just pray you don't get violence, I mean, listen, if you do happen to get violence, just swap to your primary weapon or your melee, right? I know most of you are using the glaive prime. Just one tap them with the glaive or just use a strong primary weapon. That's it, All right, now that you saw how she works in an actual mission, me playing it without getting violence, this is how we make things look so badass, behind the scenes when we don't get violence. Anyway, for our Helminth ability, you can run Roar, and if you're not using the Core, you can go with Energized Munitions. I have 2 of the same loadouts, one using Roar, one using Energized Munitions. Roar is a faction damage buff that applies to your weapons, abilities, and you can share this with allies. You know what's funny? They changed the description for the faction mods, but they didn't change the description for abilities that are like ancient. I have faith in DE. They'll get to it soon. Prage. Anyway, for our Archon Shards, I do have 2 casting speed shards. The red shards are all duration because she needs the duration. If you have Tauforge duration shards, go for it. Give her that little extra boost because let's be honest, Link and Bless don't have the best duration. With 209 duration, I get 20 seconds on Blessing and like 25 on Link. It's not much, but Now, Link is using the Augment, Abating Link, and this requires 167 strength to fully strip, which is an Umbral Intensify and Augur Secrets. However, I'm not doing that on this build. But if you want to change up the build slightly and you don't need that much strength, then you can go with a Corrosive Projection and 137 strength. But Trinity does need a minimum of 150 strength. With 150 strength, you get the full benefits of Blessing. So, taking a look at the builds, here we have Growth growing power in the aura for the 25% strength when you proc a status effect. And I'm going to be doing that quite a lot thanks to my Core. So the additional strength is of course to get the armor stripping going and to buff roar. Duration at 209%. You can increase this to 213 if you swap stretch over here and use constitution, but that only gives you 1 second on blessing, so it makes no difference. And plus, having augur message here grants me some shields by using any other ability. So I'm not only getting shields from using my second ability, but even using my link, blessing, and roar, because all of those use energy and it gets converted into shields. Adaptation for the damage reduction to everything. And with all the testing that I've been doing, you don't even need Arcane Aegis because the income of shields is just too strong. That Aegis is just useless on the build. Hence why I went for Molt Efficiency. And since I'm taking damage and redirecting damage, it's buffing my Arcane Avenger. This gives me a flat 45% crit chance on all of my weapons. Now, for the Core, I have this modded for viral and heat. Heat being my main damage source. And since I'm proccing a lot of heat, the easiest base damage that we can use is Cascadia Flare. This gives you 480% base damage. We have a faction mod that means it allows us to double dip with heat DOTs. Galvanized Shot to increase my damage even more and increase my status chance. However, the main thing you want to have on this build is Sentient Surge. This gives you crit chance, status chance, and replenishes your ammo. So that's why I didn't need to mod it for any other crit chance mod. This is my main crit chance mod, and we have our crit damage mod. Now I'm going to showcase my Savathûn Hound. This Hound has an audit mod that allows it to strip 50% of the overguard and steal Eximus powers. Boom. There, 50% of the overguard, and we also have the Eximus powers. Look at all these status effects that they're applying. And I'm already buffed with my Cascadia Flare. The main thing with this pet is just to be a nuisance to enemies, while also giving me some random buffs. So the reason why I didn't take this power again is because this enemy had overguard. So let's take a look at how I built this one. It is the Kuva Heckhound. We have the Adele Core, the Chunkla Bracket, and the Frank Stabilizer. This focuses more on increasing the pet's shield pool. Taking a look at the build. Synergized Prospectus is the attack ability, throws out that electric orb that bounces all over, and it also deals the modded elemental damage. On top of that, as you saw there, it had viral, heat, electric, so it's coming from this and the weapon. Vicious Bond for a little bit of armor strip and spreading. Momentous Bond, killing an Eximus, all right, grants 120% elemental damage bonus. This elemental damage bonus is separate from your modded elements, and on top of that, it reduces the recovery time. Manifold Bond, this reduces the cooldown of my pet's abilities. So kill enemies with 3 or more unique status effects, more abilities, dashes out. And the main thing that sucks and uses Eximus powers is Null Audit. To be honest, you can use any audit mod you want, but for this particular loadout, I went with Null Audit. I don't want enemies to be disarmed. I want them to actually attack me. If you ran with Repo Audit, you're not going to get your Avenger procced as consistent as you want. With Trinity, you don't need Guardian. However, if you're playing with other Warframes, then yeah, Guardian's pretty good. But if you're playing with Trinity, you can even go with this one for some added survivability, because why not? And looking at the weapon builds, pretty simple. We got base damage, virulent heat, lasting sting for the status duration, and melee prowess for additional status chance. We got 55.5% status chance. Shattering impact for the funnies. It just needs to have impact damage. Don't need to proc impact. Anyway, folks, that has been it for me. Look how cute Savathûn is. I do hope you've enjoyed this video and learned something from it. And if you did, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace, a bye-bye now.